Hi, everyone. My name is Marissa Carrasco, and my degree program is in sustainability science with an emphasis on sustainable food systems. I will be graduating now in December 2022. My capstone internship for the fall semester took place at Montrose Air Quality Services in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Montrose Air Quality Services provides many ambient air quality monitoring services as well as testing services across the Southwest region of the United States. Specifically in New Mexico, we focus on air monitoring and air testing for coal mines, as well as reclaimed coal mines and reclaimed uranium and radon mines. Montrose is a worldwide environmental firm. However, in New Mexico, we specifically focus on air quality. Montrose's corporate mission is to protect the air that we breathe, the water we drink, and the soil that feeds us. As part of this commitment, we adhere to the following 4 sustainability principles. So they have 3 main principles that they try to meet in their corporation. This includes protection of our employees and communities, protection of our natural resources, and protection of integrity. As an intern at Montrose, I had many different roles and responsibilities. My main role was to analyze meteorological data as well as particulate data from over 15 different sites. And as I mentioned earlier, the majority of these sites were mine sites. I was responsible for generating a quarterly meteorological report for our clients. I was also given the responsibility to process low and high volume air filters that are used for weekly EPA samplings at the mine sites. After processing these filters, I would use my findings to compose a particular report for our clients. And as you can see here on my slideshow, these are both the low volume and the high volume filters that I would take a pre-weight on. And then after a week of sampling, we would get them back from the mines and I would take a post-weight, and that's how I would compose this particular report. I was also given the responsibility of doing field work, which was really interesting. It was a lot more technical than I thought it would be, but I got the hang of it. So at my field work, I would do performance audits on our 10 meter, 20 meter, and 3 meter meteorological towers, as well as calibrations for our high volume samplers at the mines. So one of the main projects that I worked on at my internship was the quarterly particulate report for the El Segundo coal mine. This is one of the longest lasting coal mines here in New Mexico. I think they're actually getting ready to close it down and reclaim it because as we've learned throughout the years, coal is not the cleanest source of energy. But it was really interesting learning about how the coal mines operate, and as well as monitoring their particulate samples. So what I did here for this specific report, I'll just kind of go into a detail of what the El Segundo mine was and how the samplers worked. So the Peabody Coal Company at El Segundo currently operates an ambient particulate monitoring program consisting of 3 low-volume discrete PM10 particulate samplers and 1 low-volume continuous BAM at the El Segundo surface coal mine. So as you can see on this map, these are the 4 different sites that they have there that we sample from. Each sampler runs once a week, every 6 days for a full 24-hour period from midnight to midnight. All these samplers run simultaneously. At Montrose, for my report, we conducted quality assurance, instrument repair, data reduction, and data reporting for each particulate sampler based on the actual flow rates and the PM10 concentrations based on these flow rates. The PM10 concentrations are based on actual flow rates and the standard conditions and reported conditions comply with the National Ambient Air Quality Standards for PM10 filters, and this happened since December 2006 is when these regulations were put in place. So that was what I reported on. Here you can see another, this is one of the filters. It is very, sorry, I will move myself. This is a filter that you can see has been collecting particulate. It's dirty. Sometimes these filters would get very dark. It kind of just depended on how much particulate was being emitted that sampling session. So one of the next projects that I was working on was for the same mine. However, it was a meteorological report. These reports consist of taking meteorological data from our MET1 tower, which is this tower you can see in this slide. It's 10 meters high, and what this does, this just collects different data. Specifically, it does 24-hour data. It collects data such as the temperature, wind speed, wind direction, solar radiation, net radiation, precipitation, and relative humidity, as well as barometric pressure. So this tower is designated as MET1, and it collects meteorological data at 10 meters, 3 meters, and 2 meters, as well as the ground level. Montrose Air Quality Services perform data validation and site visits during each quarter. So this is an example of the kind of stuff that we pull for our meteorological data reports, such as data capture for each meteorological factor, as well as a 10-meter temperature summary. We show the min, the max, and the median. And in this, we're kind of just looking to see if there's any discrepancies, if there's any strange weather going on, and how this also relates back to our particulate samples, and see if there's any, again, anything kind of weird or anything that looks off. So lastly, I did a bunch of field work, and this was a fieldwork performance audit. Quarterly audits of our meteorological towers, the ones that I just showed you, are located at our several different mine sites throughout New Mexico. The purpose of our performance audits is to check the accuracy of meteorological sensors against our calibrated equipment. So we do this to ensure that our requirements, that we meet the EPA requirements, as well as their air quality assurance guidelines. So in this, again, we're looking for wind speed, wind direction, temperature, net radiation, solar radiation, barometric pressure, relative humidity, and precipitation. And we would go out there and we would use different tools, different things such as motors to generate wind speed and see how our readings compare to the readings being collected by our data collectors. So here I have an example of one of our audit logs, and as you can see, it's for relative humidity. So we would use our own testing equipment for relative humidity. We would go out there and put it against what the sensor is saying. We would do 3 repetitions, and from this, we would try to take a difference, and it would have to fit within a criteria. So more than likely, we didn't have any discrepancies with our reports or with our audits, but whenever we did, we would have to go back and find out why it was doing that, and then provide suggestions for improvement for our clients. So my learning outcomes and objectives from this internship was that in relation to our SOS core competencies was systems thinking. I really learned how each part of the system correlates and connects to make a full working system. Systems thinking was a new concept to me before I started studying sustainability. And now I have a better understanding of how one part of a system can completely change a different part of the system, or how they can work together, such as with these particulate and meteorological data reports and data analysis. We could see how if there's factors with the meteorological data, such as temperature, it could actually change the way that the particulate data was being reported, and the standard concentrations would also be affected by wind. So things like that. But also, it helps you think about how the reclamation of mines, we're monitoring these mines and these air samples to make sure that the air is clean for everybody in New Mexico and worldwide. If there wasn't systems like this in place, then we could all become very sick, our health, the environment overall. There's just so many different factors that would be impacted if we weren't monitoring these airs under the EPA standards and such. Futures thinking, this internship really opened my mind to how important it is, once again, to monitor things like air quality, to monitor factors of soil health and water health. And it really has motivated me to get to springboard forward into my career with sustainability and think about how I can help improve air quality for future generations. As far as professional development, I've worked tirelessly. I worked so much on technical writing, report writing skills, excuse me. Before this, I had not really ever written a real report like this, and this is what I was working on. So much on my internship. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my writing skills, and I feel like I can move forward and confidently in the future to write reports professionally for any, maybe any corporation, environmental firm that I get a job with in the future. I also learned how to do data analysis. It was so interesting working with our database and seeing all the different factors and different information and data it would bring in at such a high level, and just going through all that data and finding discrepancies, finding anything that looked off and finding offsets, and just learning so much about how to analyze data and the importance of it. Lastly, in relation to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, specifically was the SDG target 1162, which aims to reduce the environmental impact of cities by improving air quality. That's exactly what I was doing at my internship. We were working with the mines, with these reclaimed mines, to make sure that our air quality here in New Mexico was as best as it could be. We wanted to keep improving it, keep providing different solutions for these mines so that they could continue to do what they're doing, but in a responsible manner, and keeping everyone safe that's breathing in the air around those areas. In conclusion, my internship at Montrose Air Quality Service was a great experience. It helped me gain a greater knowledge of air quality standards and the importance of EPA regulations. The internship was educational, and it correlated with many of the sustainability concepts that I learned and were taught at ASU. And overall, I look forward to using this internship as a springboard towards my future career in sustainability. I don't know that I want to stay in air quality. I do know that this really opened up my mind to so many different segues of sustainability, and I'm so grateful that I got this opportunity. I think overall it was just amazing, great learning experience. And lastly, I want to give a special thanks to my supervisor as well as my mentor at Montrose, Amadeo Martinez.